Welcome back to my video series where I teach you how to fly an FPV, freestyle, racing, acro, drone, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to teach you how to fly it. This video is one in a series. So if it feels like you've dropped in the middle of a conversation, that's why. There is a link in the video description below to the full playlist for the whole series. And if you're looking to learn from the beginning, that's where you should start. But if you're here for the topic of today's video, then let's get into it. In the last episode, we worked on rolls and getting comfortable with being inverted. Today, we're going to add the pitch axis to that the pitch axis to that equation, and we're going to do flips. And in many ways, a flip is just like a roll on the pitch axis. We can take off. Just like when we roll, we're going to drop throttle, because anytime you're inverted, you have to be off the throttle. Otherwise, you're pulling yourself down to the ground. We're going to climb, we're going to drop throttle, we're going to pitch back, and we're going to do a 360 roll until the horizon is back where it started. We can go forward, we can go backward. Here's why the pitch axis is harder than the roll axis and why we introduce it second. With the roll axis, you can see the horizon the whole way through the move. And with the roll axis, your pitch angle and therefore your speed remains the same the whole way through. If I reset and go to the external camera view, you can see if I take off and then I pitch forward and I roll, do you see the drone crashed into the ground, but it did not change its pitch angle and it did not change its forward speed. Here we go. Now I'm crashing into the ground because I'm not lowering the throttle, but the roll is going to maintain your forward speed exactly the same. So roll is easier. Another reason roll is easier is that if you are doing the move, and let's say I'm trying to follow this fence, okay, and I pop up and I want to stay on this fence line. When I invert, I can still see the fence and I can still see what I'm aiming for. So if I were to try to hit this hay bale, if I invert, I can still see and steer myself toward that hay bale to try to be where I want to be when I land. But when I do a flip, I can't see anything, right? For some of the flip, I'm going to lose orientation, and I just have to trust that the drone is still moving in the direction that it's moving. So if I've set myself up to go through this gap, I can flip my way through that gap. And as long as I get back upright again before I hit the ground, which I didn't, as long as I get myself upright again before I hit the ground, I will still have gone through the gap. Right? So the first thing I want you to do is to climb to an altitude. Look at where the horizon is on screen, how high or low in the screen it is. And then you're going to drop throttle and do a flip and try and bring the horizon back to approximately that same location. Make sure to go forward and back. Oop, I overshot that one. Just if you overshoot, just correct at the end and bring the horizon back where it needs to be. And you can work that just like I'm doing here. Climb, drop throttle, flip, catch yourself with the throttle, climb, drop throttle, flip. And just like with rolls, you can do them slowly. You can try and do them quick and figure out the timing to get it exactly back where it needs to be. I'm undershooting a little bit. There we go. That was pretty close. That was pretty close. That was an overshoot, so we'll just correct that. And that's what we'll begin working. So work that for a little while. Once you've worked that for a little while, I want you to start putting together roll and pitch. So just like before, we're going to go high in the air. We're going to invert. But then instead of rolling out of it, I want you to invert and pitch forward and bring yourself back upright again. So we're going to roll half turn to the left and a half turn forward. If that intuitively makes sense to you, great. What I see a lot of people do at this point is they go, okay, I got it. Yeah. And then they go, huh. And then I'm like, nope, that's not what I said to do. Half roll, half pitch forward. So really pay attention to the stick, break it down, what I'm doing, and try to emulate it. And you have to like re-engage your brain and like not let your fingers just take over, because some people find this very unintuitive. We're going to roll to inverted and pitch forward to come back right side up again. And what I want you to sort of understand here is that we can get back upright more than one way. We can roll and pitch forward. We can roll and pitch backward. Maybe you'll even start to speed it up. You'll go brr, brr. You know, try to make sure those 180s are as clean and precise as possible. In other words, you're right on the 180. You're not like this. You're right on that 180. Oh, I'm falling. See, I'm going to get upright again. Try and make sure that. Spend a little time getting comfortable. Roll, pitch back. Roll, pitch forward, etc. You don't have to do a roll first. You could be upright and you can go pitch back, roll. Doesn't matter. Just start to kind of get a little comfortable with putting those things together. Okay, now we come to what we might call the final exercise for today. And that is going to be to do a maneuver called a split S. And a split S is very simply described as a half roll followed by pitch back. So I'll do one now. We're going to half roll to inverted, and then we're going to pitch back. And you can see that what we've done is we have turned 180 degrees from the direction we were moving. So here I'm moving this way, and I can just turn around, sure. But I can punch out, I can roll, and pitch back, and raise throttle, and now I'm going the opposite way. I can climb, invert, pitch back, and gradually raise throttle to be moving the other direction. Obviously, if all I wanted to do was change direction, I would just turn around and go the other way. The purpose of a split S is, well, number one, it's cool and awesome and fun. In dogfighting, in aerial dogfighting, the purpose of a split S is to lose altitude and change direction. And in FPV freestyle, the purpose of a split S is usually to like fly over an obstacle and then come down and underneath the other side. So for example, this tree, I might fly over this tree, split S, and come back underneath it. That's sort of like the canonical example of when you do a split S. You roll inverted and pitch back, and gradually raise throttle to fly back the other direction. Some notes on a split S. A split S is not just any combination of roll and pitch. It has to do with the track that the quad takes and the direction that it moves. So for example, if I were to just hover here in front of the barn, right, I could do that. I could do a half roll, there we go, half roll, half pitch back. That's not a split S because I'm not going anywhere. I'm just doing a kind of a cool move, but I'm not doing a split S. The point of a split S is that you're moving forward and you roll and pitch back, and then you're moving back the other way. So, well, I won't go through this window. I was going to say there's nowhere for me to go. So these are split S's because of the way that I'm moving over, inverting, and underneath. So practice some split S's as well. That's going to be sort of your final exam for this episode. When split S is done really well, you like track over the top of the obstacle. So like I can just fly over the top of the obstacle, invert, and fly back, right? That's fine. Like a really good split S, I'm going to carry some speed, and I'm going to invert and fly upside down over the top of the obstacle. The other thing I see people do with split S's is they pitch forward like this and roll. And like kind of technically you've done a split S, but not really. So try to be upright, fly over the top, invert with roll, and then pitch back to smoothly come out the other side. Don't pitch forward like this and then roll and come out the other side. That's different. Okay. I'll see you in the next one.